What's up? Welcome back. I'm John Stark from MacMovieGuy.com, your favorite blind film critic, and today we're going to talk about Thoughts and Prayers. It's a new documentary that's on HBO Max with audio description. It's done by International Digital Center. Um, narrated by Amanda Baton. And I wanted more from this. I did. When I found out conceptually what this was, I was so excited for it. I was like, oh my God, thank you, please. Because I fucking hate guns and I wish we would figure out a way to actually stop mass shootings instead of normalizing them. And this film is all about like the normalizing of mass shootings through like an industry that has actually come up with the readiness of it, right? Like all of this crap that they sell you now, all of this training that people go through to try to make sure that they can survive if somebody walks into their place of work or into their school or whatever, um, to try to train people to survive these things. There's a fucking video game that they play here. Anyway, it's part of their training. It's like living through a mass shooting. It's like $1 billion industry in this thing, and it is a solid documentary because it doesn't have a Michael Moore voice to it. Like there isn't a Michael Moore in here who's leading it from that direction to where you're like, well, he's pushing that narrative, right? Well, he's pushing his narrative, but at the same time, I kind of wanted it to have. I'm going to give a different filmmaker. I like what Kirby Dick does because he doesn't get all up in his movies, but his films also feel a little bit more pointed and have that like sledgehammer at the end, right? Where you feel the intent of why this was told instead of to just like explore the industry. I feel like the film doesn't have quite necessarily the gut punch that it needs by the end of the film to have people see this as a cautionary tale, as one more element in a cautionary tale, and not like, well, it's good that we're doing this. Look at this. Look at these kids. Look at that. I feel like there are people who are going to have the other takeaway from this, and that shouldn't be the takeaway. Like somehow we've normalized this, and I keep trying to tell people this is not normal. I came from a generation where I didn't have active shooter drills, but I remember Columbine. I was just about to graduate when Columbine happened. So, and there wasn't like a bevy of mass shootings between Columbine and my graduation, so my school hadn't developed active shooter drills. It wasn't a thing. Columbine felt like a one-off. And then it just never stopped. And nobody ever stopped it. And everybody just kept kind of finding ways to step around it, and thoughts and prayers and thoughts and prayers and thoughts and prayers and thoughts and prayers. And now people are like, yeah, well, when you make fun of thoughts and prayers, you're like making fun of we're making fun of that. That's all that you do. You just, at the end of something, it's always thoughts and prayers, but there's never anything actually done to stop it from ever happening again. You never actually sit down and analyze the situation and go, this happened. How do we stop this? It's like, it's like watching a town, right, that floods like every year, massive flood hits. Everybody just moves back into their town. Nobody ever addresses why they're flooding. Nobody ever tries to think about building a dam. They're just like, it floods. It's just what happens. We just flood here. You know, nobody moves. Everybody just floods. They just get wiped out every year, and then they go back and they're like, well, I guess we're rebuilding we gotta, hopefully it won't happen again. Oh shit, it happened again. you know? Build a dam, come up with resources, figure out and see that there's a pattern here, that it keeps happening. Maybe it starts happening even more. Maybe instead of it happening once a year, it starts happening twice a year, 3 times a year, 4 times a year, and then it's happening more and more, and you still don't have a plan for it. Fucking do something. Thoughts and Prayers is an excellent example of how somebody did something, but what they did instead was normalizing it. So instead of trying to figure out how to stop the flood, they just gave everybody like life vests. They sold them inflatable rafts. They came in and they sold them product, is what they did. That's what this industry is doing is that they're monetizing tragedy. They've turned this entire industry as monetizing and figuring out how to normalize and monetize tragedy. So if my example of a town that perpetually floods, you know, yeah, okay, so this industry moves in and they go, okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to sell you inflatable life vests so you don't drown. We're going to sell you these little devices so you can locate your family members after the flood washes them away. We're going to sell you these little identification devices in case you're killed by the flood so that people know who you are. We're going to sell you all of this stuff. None of this addresses the flood. All of this addresses the fact that the flood is happening. And meanwhile, downriver, there are a whole bunch of people who are like, we could put a dam here, but we don't want to. We're not going to. It's all right not to. It is all right to not put a dam here, so we're not going to. And preventing people from building a dam to stop the water from flooding the village. And it's easier to count the bodies every time and to sell everybody else flotation devices and promise them that the flotation devices will be enough to save them when maybe it won't. Maybe they won't. There isn't a necessarily answered question here as to whether or not people who go through active shooter training survive mass shootings. There's not enough of a scientific correlation here to answer that question, and nobody really seems to discuss that statistic. It's certainly unnerving of a documentary, but I did kind of want it to come back through and really pack that last punch at the end that it just doesn't punch. Spiritually, I was with the concept of this documentary, but I needed it to really stop the flood. I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. I think the audio description is great. I think a lot of this, I think people should watch it, because for people who are already mortified by it, they will be even more mortified by it. But for people who they're waiting, the only time that they're ever going to get off their fucking ass is when it's their kid. When it's their kid that's died on the floor. That's the only time. And then you'll see somebody who's like, oh my God, now I understand. And it's like, yeah, that's too late, because can't bring him back, But I'm glad that now you understand what the thousands of other parents have gone through up until this point. So, yeah, thoughts and prayers. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. I'll see you guys on the other side.